Good afternoon and welcome to the Luxembourg PE VC Stories of the LPA. Today we will host Stephanie Delperdange, head of the Sofina office in Luxembourg. Hi Stephanie, how are you?
Fine, thank you, Stefan. Feeling a bit stressed, but I'm sure you will do everything to relax me. And also dressed, you know, after 1 year home officing, I'm dressed today just for you.
It's a great pleasure to have you here today with us. And also just a quick reminder to our audience, don't hesitate to ask some questions to Stephanie via the chat function or Q&A button. As usual, we will record this one and upload it on our classical platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So then without further ado, Stephanie, the floor is yours. And what can you tell us about your firm, about Sofina? How, when, and who started this adventure?
Yeah, so I start with a small disclaimer for my compliance officer. Every fact and figures I will mention, I take responsibility. Sofina is a Belgian listed investment entity. And so, you know, we have to pay attention and perhaps my figures will be approximation. But so the story of Sofina started a long time ago, more than 120 years ago in Belgium, but our majority shareholder, the Boel family, initially entered the capital in the 50s and become majority shareholder in the 80s, 90s. So their initial business was the steel industry, so well known in Luxembourg too, was the Arbet. But then it has shifted to this investment company where for years the main activity was growth investment, direct investment, mainly focused in Europe and in unlisted entity. So to provide some example, in the 70s we invested in Colruyt, so you know the market. They are present in Luxembourg. Of course, you know Danone, and better know even in Luxembourg, SES. We have been a very long-term shareholder of SES. And we do not forget another member of the association, Luxembourg. Sofina is a shareholder, and even more than that, we are close friends with Luxembourg. So that's the initial investment style and long-term style of Sofina. Since I am responsible for the investment fund activity, perhaps just a starting point on that and on the history. Our first investment in a private equity fund was in the late 70s. I was not at Sofina at that time, of course. And we invested a small commitment in what was at the time TA Advent. So that's the starting point of the history of Sofina. Now Sofina is much bigger, with a strategy that is not only the long-term direct investing, but also the portfolio of fund has become bigger and bigger. It's now about 35% of Sofina NAV, so between 3 and 4 billion. And we have developed since 8 years, approximately, Sofina growth business. So there it's more on the venture growth side, investing close to some of our friend GP, close GP relationship in fast-growing businesses, mainly in Europe and in Asia, but we have done some great deals so far in the US too.
An impressive history, exactly, Stephanie. Wow, and very prolific activities, and also showing the capacity of continuously evolving. I mean, you highlighted certainly the investment activities. How could we describe, for example, the core philosophy of Sofina?
Yeah, so what is very important at Sofina, the majority shareholder is a family. So we have that long-term spirit. Our motto is purpose and patience. So we are investing close to in entrepreneurs that are close to our mindset, and we take the time, and that's very important. Sofina has a very long story, and so we came across great time, but also difficult time. The crisis of the 80s, the 2000 bubble, 2008, and more recently the COVID. And so I think that's very important. That's our DNA. Yeah, we are close to the entrepreneur. We understand them. Sofina is a family of entrepreneur. And yes, we take the time.
You mentioned a few very interesting investments. Concerning the sectors, which ones are you particularly following nowadays and investing in? And is there any recent and specific deal you would like to highlight now?
Yeah. So we have been more and more specific in our sector focus. So today we have 4 sectors we are following. So consumer, healthcare, digital, so let's say tech, and education. If I have to mention some deals and good examples, the HUD Group, so THG is not a recent one, or for the older one is perhaps recent, but we initially invest, I think, 5-6 years ago, starting with a small, so-called small 40 million pound. So typically what we love to do, backing an entrepreneur. So the HUD Group, if you are not familiar, it's this UK marketplace where you can find, you know, protein for sport people, but also makeup, shampoo, those kind of things. They have different websites. The company has been very successful. There were different fundraising, and Sofina has been supportive, across. Since we started the relationship, we have supported the business, allowed the business to grow, and the HUD has been so far a real success. And the IPO of the group took place in September. And Sofina was there for the IPO, and we are still there on the board, representing Sofina and making sure that, yeah, we can add value to the business. And so that's typically what we love to do today, perhaps start small and then grow the business like the entrepreneur want to grow it and grow the position.
You are leading the Luxembourg office, and you also mentioned Sofina as a listed entity. So how does now the setup of your group look like? Where are your main offices, and globally, how many persons do work for Sofina?
Yeah, so I think globally we are something like 70 people today. The main office starting there is in Brussels, a bit less than 50 people, investment professional, and everything. We opened an office in Singapore, I think 8 years ago. Just one guy from Brussels, and he has been very successful. Sofina has been successful, and now the team is, I think, more than 10 people today. And at Sofina Luxembourg, we are, I think today 12, but recruiting. So I never know if it's, 11, 14. The setup, something very important, and the service provider working or trying to work for Sofina know that well, is we love the homemade. So we have in Brussels, Luxembourg, all the office. We have our tax expert, we have our legal team, accounting team. So we have not delegate a lot of services. And for that, you have to have real talentuous people. And we have the type of people in the accounting, middle office, legal team, tax, and of course, in the front office, we have all the type of people with great talent at Sofina.
I think we all like the well done and homemade services and also expertise. You mentioned now the Luxembourg office, the operating model. I mean, that's quite clear. But what is now the exact composition of your team locally? Are you more with deal specialists and analysts here? Is it a middle office? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so first, it's a great team working together. We are, yeah, not sharing office with Luxembourg, but we are neighbor. And so we all work and collaborate together. We have a back office, middle office. We have a legal team. And when I say legal team, they are taking the whole range of what can do a legal team, dealing with the CSSF, those kind of, let's say, Luxembourg regulation type of things, but they are also working on the deals, so making the real due diligence. And what I love to hear from our legal counsel, coming from a lawyer office, yeah, wow, at Sofina, I can see a deal from A to Z. That's the nice of it. I understand the full process. And of course, I will insist a bit more on the investment team. Today, 5 people and recruiting an associate, looking for one. I should say, when I arrived 15 years ago, I was alone in Luxembourg. We have grown the team, and we have very high-profile team at Sofina with diversity, of course, a bit more Belgian and French, as you can imagine. And if you are interested, I have to mention that French people are not allowed in a Belgian company to discuss soccer. That's something we have to insist on. But we had already Indian in the team. We have the chance to have a Luxembourg guy, woman, man, all very nice person, but I insist on the fact, very high profile. And I think it jumped on one of your questions of the challenge. They are difficult to recruit, those very high profile, the best French business school, the best French engineer. And you know, it's difficult to say that, but how good they can be, people with an MBA. So we have really a great team, and very performant, really passionate. And I'm lucky enough that they are all really funny and not arrogant. Like, yeah, they could be, but they are not. So a great team, working hard.
So really then a great and talented team, as you say. And
Yeah.
even if we promise to not speak about soccer soon, that is absolutely understood. Concerning the functions you mentioned, I mean, also including then that investment team, would other new opportunities make sense in Luxembourg? For example, would you, for example, launch an IR team, investment relations or investor relations and fundraising team? Is that something you already have in mind or already in place?
Yeah, so like Sofina is an evergreen, so-called evergreen vehicle, fundraising does not make much of sense. If we have a new function, I would not say it's typically in Luxembourg, but perhaps for the group, we should think about something like investor relation marketing, because yes, even to publish, you know, your annual report and type of things, I can imagine my legal team saying, oh no, do not speak annual report. So somebody taking care of that could make sense in the coming years. But really the focus today is to be on the investment team profile, the finance and the legal team is there that we have to make the effort.
Completely makes sense for the evergreen parts. And the LPA is also ready to help out, to attract more talents. That's why we started the job fair. We do trainings with the academy and other programs also we have in mind. So let's really exchange on those very important topics. But as you said, this is very strategic for the continuity and of the success of Luxembourg then.
Yeah, sure, it's important.
And last year, what happened at Sofina? I mean, it was a complicated year globally, but I can imagine. What can you share with us on that one?
Yeah, so in March, of course, we all, but we have to say we have been lucky. Sophie and I had a very good year last year. Now lucky, but we have to say for the team and the team globally, people work hard. They were very resilient because they were at home and they succeed to continue working efficiently. So I mean, in terms of human resources, I was super surprised, and we were super proud to see that the people continue to connect together. And lucky also because of our portfolio composition with an angle on the US, Asia, and important tech part. The recovery of the Asia and the US market has benefits Sofina, of course. And yes, but that's mean also, as I said, we are an investor in more than 100 fund relationship, I think, today. And the fundraising last year, and it continues this year, has just been crazy. So with the first COVID wave in March, it did not decrease at all the level of fundraising of our GP in Asia and in the US.
So some great resilience and also aligned interests within the team and the group. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Concerning your ESG policy and strategy, what can you tell us about that? How active are you?
We are quite active today. We are part of the UNPRI. We are reviewing now all our portfolio, existing portfolio company with a specific ESG framework. We took a lot of time to make that properly. And now every new investment we consider, we keep that in mind. And it's something that we are working on it. And it's something important for Sofina. Now we keep our eyes open, you know, we remain flexible, and we don't want to be those tick the box people. Of course, when you invest in a startup, if the first question is, can we see your ESG policy? Sorry, we are 3 people here. So we try to be open-minded and understand that it's not a tick the box, but a real ESG mindset that lie behind the company we are invested in, the entrepreneurs. Beside that, speaking ESG, Sofina has created a platform for talent. So in Belgium, we are sponsoring young people. So we help young people to access the best school, to the promising people to be able to become a doctor or something like that. So it's a great project animated by a great team at Sofina. And this year we have launched also a specific COVID fund. And so it has been quickly invested, but Sofina committed 20 million this year to this COVID fund to help where it can. So it's also an important part of our mindset to be able to help the community, to support the community.
Doing good in complicated times. We understand. That's a really great example. How do you see Luxembourg ecosystem and infrastructure right now? What should we upgrade further? And I would also add then the question in the Q&A, how do you see the future of the PE offices in Luxembourg?
From a regulator service provider perspective, I think in Luxembourg, we are really at the top. Great service in the Big Four, lawyer firm, CSSF, so an excellent setup. where I think we have to work further is to attract really the real investors. We have, and I think I thanked LPEA for that. You are really playing a key role on that, and I think it has really improved those last years. The Luxembourg image of it's just a big back office. Not at all. It's a fantastic city. It's a fantastic country, and we have everything to attract talent. And to reply to the question, I think what will help us attracting more talent and be flexible in the future, this crisis has learned us to work with more flexibility. And I think that flexibility will allow for more high profile to consider Luxembourg. Okay, I want to be based in Paris, but I spend 4 days a week in Luxembourg and then back in Paris, and I can work from home from Paris a days a week. That's fine for me. That's a good compromise. Same for London, Berlin, something like that. So I think that the working from home will add positive things to Luxembourg. Of course, the prices in Luxembourg remain a challenge also to attract young talent. That's yeah, but that's not my role to discuss that.
We will certainly keep that in mind, and it's absolutely a fact. So that's a kind of obstacle where we have to work on, but also thanks for then the compliments and also for the efforts then we can deploy thanks to you and the other members of the association in order to make that also happen and a reality in the future. Now, if you want, we can move on to the more personal questions. And we would be very interested, Stephanie, so what did you study and where did you start your career?
Yeah, so study, it's a long time ago. I have a master's degree from a business school in Belgium, and I start my career directly in Luxembourg 20 years ago. I started in a bank 2 years, and quickly I get bored, I have to say. And so my option at the university was réviseur d'entreprise, and I decided to move to what was still at the time the Big Five. Do you remember the Big Five? And to become a réviseur. So I moved to KPMG, spent 6 years there. I think in 6 months I learned more than what I could learn in 10 years in a bank. It has been a fantastic experience for a lot of reasons. You work a lot, you learn a lot. You are young, very young, you are in front. I can remember being with my management letter, in a bank. You go with your management letter to people like Claude Marx. I said a true story. I was 28 years old with my management letter in front of Claude Marx. You learn quickly then, because he's not taking all the point that easy. So it's an excellent school to learn quickly, to learn a lot of perspective. So thank you, KPMG, for that. And the best was, of course, to learn great people. And yeah, most of my friends, I think, in Luxembourg are still from KPMG. And funny enough, Luxembourg is small. I used to share the audit room with Olivier Kuckelbergs and Michael Tabar, and share not only the audit room, but sometimes drinks and others. So we were working very, very hard, but in a fantastic environment with fantastic people. So very good souvenir there. And then I started Sofina 15 years ago. Wow. And it has been quite a surprise. I was leaving KPMG, not dreaming of becoming an auditor, internal auditor or something like that. I was dreaming of doing investment, but that was difficult at that time in Luxembourg. And so Sofina came to me with a deal. They were creating a CCAR in Luxembourg. So they had just 2 accountants and an assistant, and they needed to professionalize, to have a proper setup, good processes. And so the profile of the réviseur d'entreprise KPMG manager was perfect. So the offer, the present, the counterparty of that was like Sofina. Since Sofina was small, my boss at that time, was still my boss, offered me to work with him on growing the private equity fund portfolio. So that means you will travel with me and then travel alone. Are you ready to go to New York? Are you ready to go to San Francisco, the Silicon Valley, to meet the GP in person? Oh yes, that was the great part. And so 15 years of experience, a portfolio that has more, I think when I arrived, we were 200 million. Now, as I say, between 3 and 4 billion for the private equity fund portfolio. Working hard on a lot of things, different things, but really the best experience. And I wish that I cross finger for the young one that COVID will be out soon. The traveling are the really the best experience of Sofina and the best offering. When you spend days at the office, it's raining and you have to finalize a presentation or take a CSSF questionnaire and you say, oh no, I'm not done for that job. You plan for a trip to California, you meet a GP, often welcome you in something like a pyjama, and not joking. You have in front of you guys that have done the greatest venture deals in the world. They have discovered the Google, they have discovered the WhatsApp before it was sold to Facebook. This kind of deal, they are in front of you. They are nice guys, they are not arrogant, they are super passionate when they tell their story. They have the chance to work in an environment like, my picture. You come back, you are super energized to do your work. And and so for my colleague on the front, working more on the direct to meeting entrepreneurs in Asia, in Europe, in the US, that's really fantastic. And Sofina is quite a flat company, so the fact that we offer, for the young one to be there at the meeting with the entrepreneur, I think it's a great experience and really, hardworking, but great experience, great learning.
Thanks, Stephanie, for sharing so many details concerning your career, and here a great combination of the right skills, the right momentum, the right network, and see what a great success is coming out of it. That's fabulous. You highlighted also hard work and also humility. Any values you personally appreciate and respect, a little bit going into the same direction?
I think honesty, to be direct and honest, transparent to the people, that's very important. So the trust, and in our business, it's something, I really consider for me, for my colleague, for our business, and in my private life too, the trust.
A great value for sure. And any advice you would like to give to young talents, since we are all interested to attract more to Luxembourg?
Take a step back. You have a long career to come, and a lot of things can happen. And in this long career, it's super important there is a lot of discussion on that, but I think it's important to live it, not say it, to keep a good work-life balance. And we have all to work on that, all to make sure that the team has a real work-life balance. And perhaps a special word for for the young woman. It's challenging. You will have to be a superman, a superwoman, a super professional. But so please make sure, do not forget to be first a super yourself. That's very important. And don't be afraid to be, a mother and a professional. So that's very important. And we try to, and I will try to, help the younger one on that.
And if you want, Stephanie, we can also take another question from the Q&A, where somebody from the audience is asking, since not everybody could go to the best Ivy League business schools, how or what could they do in order then to be considered, to have a chance to, for example, join Sofina?
Hard question. I know. I mean, we love diversity. We love smart people, and smart people can, diversity is not only gender, color, it's also different backgrounds and things like that, and we are open to that. And I think also, in the front team, we have all business school education. It's important, but you have always a little door open, and I think I can take perhaps the best example at Sofina, our head of Asia today. He started as a business controller at Sofina. After 2 years, he jumped to the investment team, and then we need somebody in Singapore. He went to Singapore, and now he's where he is, head of Asia, 30% of the assets of Sofina. So, he entered, I would say, a small door, but he's where he is. And with patience, once again, so it remained possible.
Ambitious and audacious person, certainly also withstand the required patience. Nice. Did, for you now personally, any specific leader or person inspire or motivate you?
I have not specific people in mind, and I will not make the long list of the, Barack Obama and things like that. I'm often more inspired about a story of a woman, but perhaps in the 19th century, 20th century, a woman like Simone Weil in France, and not taking any time of political consideration, but the fact that she survived to the Nazi, and she became a strong woman, sorry, I missed the word. But if you know Simone Weil, you see what I mean. I love the type of woman, Simone de Beauvoir, those women that, with that, is she a woman or a man? And it was 80 years ago. I love those stories. It's a good sign that, we can do it. Yes, we can. I love those stories.
Fabulous and real examples. Since we are now a little bit going into the cultural parts, any book, series, podcast, or music you would like to recommend?
I wanted to say it seriously, but I cannot. That I'm reading 3 professional books a week. You often see that on chat that I'm reading. I'm not reading professional books, but if you want good notes, I can refer you to some of my colleagues. I have one that spent night tweeting with all the venture guy of the world, so he can provide you with all the best consideration. If I can recommend a series, of course, I will recommend Capitani, the Luxembourg series. I watch it. It's a good one, I should say. And on the books, I'm more a traditional one, reading the, I'm out of the business, the Ken Follett, Le Maître, those kind of things. If I can recommend something else important for me, I'm meditating since approximately 10 years now, and I'm surely one of the early user of the Luxembourg application Petit Bambou, and which has really well developed since then. I think when I started there were 10 things. Now you have hundreds of possible meditating program. And just a word for the people still thinking that meditating is something like bobo organic dreaming. Not at all. I think if you make it seriously, if you read about it, it's something you can really recommend to all the leaders of the world, because it's something really, really helpful. And if you are Cartesian, you can read. It has a Cartesian part, and it helps. So that's something I wanted to share.
Both Petit Bambou and certainly Capitani are excellent success stories, and also homemade, so that's great. I think people were very inspired today, so we have a few questions for you, Stephanie.
Yes.
So let's deep dive into that. First of all, what is a COVID fund, as you highlighted before?
So the COVID fund of Sofina, and of course on our website, you will find more information. So we partner with the Baudouin Foundation in Belgium, is very well known. We partner with them to find the best type of project, of course, mainly in healthcare and those type of things, to support them. So I think I mentioned it was a 20 million fund. And so it was Belgium, but project could come from Luxembourg too. Our board member were well informed of that. And we support a part in India too. And we have done some, like we are a strong investor in several companies in India. We have been also supportive of the difficulties in India.
Laurie also has been specifically curious today. So she wanted to know if COVID has finally multiplied the number of deals or opportunities, and have you started again to travel?
So I do not think it's COVID specifically who bring more deals, but last year and this year has been really crazy, since we invest more and more in partnership with our GP. So the people following the venture growth world, you probably see that a venture GP that used to raise fund every 2-3 years, they are now fundraising and investing fund in sometimes 3 months. So that means that in 3 months they are doing 40 deals. That's a lot. So we see a true acceleration. We are super prudent with the actual valuation. Now I forgot the second part of the question, Stefan.
It was the travel.
The travel.
Are you all over Europe again, or is it still done digitally?
Yeah, it's super slowly. I think for 1 or 2 specific deal with all very difficult measures, some people travel, but we cannot say that we have opened the travel again. I think it will take 1, 2, 3 months more, probably waiting that all the staff has received a vaccine. Let's see, we have a specific COVID task force at Sofina to discuss that, but it's not fully open. But we are all super eager to travel again.
And from the LPA perspective, certainly also to organize nice events and meetups with our community and members, for sure.
Yeah, sure.
We also have a quick question here. Would Sofina consider investing in distressed family companies needing a financial backup and restructuring, especially due to COVID?
No. No. So it's typically fast-growing business. Investing is in distress turnaround. It's not our cup of tea. There are special team for that, more LBO profile. So no, it's not Sofina's strategy.
Thanks for your transparency, Stephanie. And also, somebody wanted to know about the success of IPOs. Is it a good period right now? Any specific rules to take into account?
Wow.
Be a long story, I think so, and we should stop
Yeah,
here.
yeah. For the IPO, I think we are in very successful GP with long story. If they are launching a lot of IPO now, it's the right time. Does it mean that in a couple of months will come our time? If I knew, I will be a medium or something like that. So yeah, I think yes, it was a good timing. Now you can raise the question of SPAC. I know it's something you will discuss soon. We are reviewing that. You know, we also learn that's pretty recent. So we have also a question on that. For the time being, the IPO we have seen, they have been very successful one. So let's benefit from the good open window.
Great. Thanks a lot again, Stephanie, for taking the time, for being with us today and for sharing so many insights. It was a wonderful session and hope to see you soon. The audience also to you, thanks a lot for joining, and we'll just quickly finish our webinar today with the next events organized by the LPA. So next week we'll have a roundtable on AML framework with the CSSF and our AML technical committee chairs. In June, we'll also, as highlighted, then talk about the stock exchange used as an exit strategy for private equity. We'll have our talents in a new episode of Career Adventure, following up with the job fair discussion. And also next month, we will then welcome Gilles Mougenot, the CEO of Argos with you partners. Thanks a lot and see you soon.